Hello and welcome to episode 9 of We Don't Talk About Una, the podcast about Lorcana. It's late on a Tuesday. I've gone a little bit potty. David, how are you doing?
I'm not your father.
You're not... You are quite right. This is a big reveal.
This is the episode of spoilers, and that's the first one.
Spoiler. David is not my father. Had somebody asked if that was the case?
It was just a misquote of a... We've got a big spoiler coming up of the worst, baddest, evilest Disney villain of all time. So I wanted to maybe give a hint.
Oh, okay. Nice,
where that might be going.
Right. Before that, give us a rundown of what else we're doing today.
What else we're doing? We are talking about some toy fairs that Lorcana have been touring around Europe.
Lovely.
With their goods and their wares. They've been carrying their cards, and Ryan Miller and other people around Europe in a big caravan. I don't know if it's in a big caravan. I feel like that should be a thing.
I like to think that Ryan Miller gets in a big caravan with Steve, is it? The other guy? What's his name?
And Mickey Mouse.
And Mickey Mouse.
Yeah.
And he bangs his head every time, but it only hurts a little bit.
He is tall, I think, isn't he?
Yeah.
I don't wish that on anybody. That doesn't sound fun. But I think caravans are fun. Anyway, they've been going to toy fairs, including London, which is quite near us.
It is quite near us. We didn't get an invite, though.
And Nuremberg, which isn't so near us.
I mean, if I'd had an invite, I might have gone, but I didn't have an invite to that either.
There may be other places too. We don't know, but we do know about those two. And somebody who's been in touch with us, one of our listeners and fans, and we're a fan of them too.
Big fan.
Went to Nuremberg. They got an invite.
They did get an invite, yeah.
So we've got some news from them.
Brilliant. Yeah. We're also going to cover the cards that we haven't spoken about already. I say cards as if there's multiple. We're going to talk about the Aurora card that was spoiled. That's going to happen. But let's start with the biggest, baddest, evilest villain. We asked you, or each of us, myself, David, and the child, put forward our baddest villains and asked you guys to vote on it last episode. And the winner is...
There wasn't one.
What?
It was a tie.
It was
a tie between Cruella de Vil and Darth Vader.
Oh, so my suggestion didn't get anywhere near there. Okay, never mind. It's all good.
Yeah, I think they both got about 39%. So, yeah.
So, if you want to be the worst villain, just explode a planet full of puppies. There you go.
Explode. Make a scary mask out of puppy fur.
Oh, no. Oh, the visual imagery. That's horrible. Don't do any of that. That is how to be the worst and
This
baddest.
is a family-friendly podcast.
Yes, never mind. We apologise if you were just eating your breakfast and that's turned you. Never mind. Great. So there's obviously there's no prize. I'm not getting either of you a prize because neither of you did. I mean, I recognise I did a very poor job, but neither of you deserve a prize if you weren't able to make a conclusive case. Oh,
gutted.
Okay, right. Tell me about the toy fairs. So first of all, we had the London Toy Fair.
Yeah, we'll talk about that one, and then we'll come to the Nuremberg one later.
Let's do that.
We're not close with anyone that went, but someone who we interact with on Twitter, CJ Eggett, who is the editor of
Tabletop Gaming Magazine. Thank you, Simeon. And he went, and apparently people who go to these things have to sign a non-disclosure agreement, so they have to agree not to tell everything that they've seen, which is quite exciting. So they've got this secret knowledge about Lorcana that the rest of us don't know. So in The Little Mermaid, they have the Ursula takes away the Little Mermaid's voice using a little wand made out of a fishbone.
Okay.
So they had a fishbone wand for people to sign the NDAs with.
Is this true?
I saw a photo on Twitter. It's so good.
So this is amazing and ridiculous and incredible.
It must be a Disney thing. They must do that for all the NDAs they have and stuff. If you're signing it in person, great, yeah. Oh, have you got any more of those plastic fishbone pen things off of The Little Mermaid?
Yeah, so this is the editor of Tabletop Gaming Magazine.
Yes.
Someone who knows about games. Their life is playing games, researching games, writing about games. They know games.
Yeah, I have purchased the magazine in the past and enjoyed it, and I would respect the editor's opinion.
So, would you like to read their opinion, or shall I?
You go for it.
Okay, so CJ Eggett said, and this was a tweet, I'm going to very quietly say, in a non-NDA breaking way, it's poetry already, that Lorcana was the best thing I saw at Toy Fair, and everyone should be very ready for a big trading card game shift when it lands, which is a pretty big bomb to drop, I think. That's like telling us that this is like paradigm shifting in the world of games.
Definitely. I feel like I get excited about games all the time, and then I buy them and they sit on the shelf and I play them 3 or 4 times. So for me to do that, get excited about this, I'm like, oh, it's great. And I think we had a conversation right at the start of like, okay, who's really invested in this? Who really likes this game? And we had a look at other people that were tweeting about it and other content creators, and it was people who liked new games as well. So people that had jumped on the Digimon card game were more likely to also jump on the Lorcana train, because people that like new games, well, this is another new game.
There are content creators out there that are talking about Lorcana because they talk about every new game that comes out.
Game, yeah. What's the newest thing? Great. So previous to this, it was Digimon. Now it's this. Previous to that, it was probably MetaZoo or something like that. And it will always be like that. So of course, these people and people like us, of course, are going to be excited. But to see the editor of well-respected magazine go, yeah, this looks great. Paradigm shifting. I love that.
That was my phrase. He said everyone should be very ready for a big trading card game shift when it lands.
Amazing.
Yeah. Quite exciting. He's also said in another tweet, invite me on your podcast. He didn't write this to us. This is just a general thing to the universe that he's written. Invite me on your podcast. It doesn't matter what it's about. I would like to be on it. So I think we might take him up on that.
I'm going to invite him on my tortoise husbandry podcast.
I didn't know you had a tortoise husbandry podcast.
Well, Simeon. I don't, but I'm going
to. Full of surprises, aren't you?
I'm going to start one just to invite Christopher onto it. No, I'm not.
Is this your bait and switch? And then you'll say, well, actually.
Yeah, actually, David, this is the start of your journey into
I meant towards CJ Eggert. But, yes, you're pulling me into the world of tortoise husbandry. You are the most evil villain schemer of all time, Simeon, I think.
Okay, shall we talk about the new Aurora card?
I'd love to hear what you have to say about it, Simeon, because to me, I look at it and it's a beautiful image of Aurora. It costs, if it is the cost in the top left, always have that disclaimer, it costs 5, has 3 strength, power, and 5 defense or toughness.
Yep.
And it's called Aurora, and she is a dreaming guardian.
Now, where do you think, obviously all of these characters have had a class type, what do you think it would be? Do you think that the dreaming guardian would be a dreamborn? No, of course not. It's a floodborn.
Because if you're dreamborn, you don't dream, you're born in the dream. That would be like Inception, where you dream in the dream in the dream. So I'm with them on this, that if you're dreaming, you're not dreamborn.
I predict, we're going to talk about the storyline of Lorcana in a little bit, and I predict that maybe this is a defection.
This is a defection, so, okay.
Or maybe there's also a dreamborn.
No, she's the dreaming, Aurora. She's not the defection, she's dreaming.
Oh, I see.
The dreamborn.
Maybe, I don't know.
Yeah, anyway. I think we're making this up.
We totally are.
Like sometimes I feel confident in our predictions, but this stuff.
this is utter. Oh, you've caught us on a silly evening.
So
anyway,
she's floodborn, hero, princess are her types. Would you like to read the card text, Simeon?
Okay, yes. There's 2 different abilities. One is Shift 3. Now, if you've been paying attention to our previous episodes, you will know that Shift means that you can pay an alternate cost, we're assuming, to put this on top of another card. So this says you may pay 3 to play this on top of one of your characters named Aurora. Now, Aurora costs 5, we're assuming. Again, this is a lot of assumptions here. So it costs 5, and you pay 3 to put her on top of another card named Aurora. Meaning, however, let me then read the second line. She has a protective embrace. Your other characters gain ward. For those of you who don't know what ward means, there's a little open brackets. Opponents can't choose them except to challenge close brackets. So if you've played Magic the Gathering, it sounds like this is a shroud or hexproof style thing, where you can't pick them as the target of one of your other cards, or you can't choose them if they have ward. So your other characters. So it would mean that you'd have to, if you needed to dispose of one of your another card, you would have to get rid of Aurora first.
If you're playing against Aurora and
she's out,
and you want to do something other than challenge.
Yeah.
So if Aurora and Simba, with Simba, isn't it?
Yep.
Together. Then to do something to Simba other than challenge Simba, you need to get rid of Aurora first. Got it. And she has 2 lore symbols, 2 of those triangle symbols on the side as well.
Brilliant.
So and illustrator is Nicholas Cole. So I'm interested in your perspective, Simeon. What is the implication of this, or what do we learn from reading this?
So I'm going to say 2 things. Firstly, because it's got the shift ability, which costs less than the full card, I think there's no reason that I can see to play this on top of an existing Aurora.
Well, unless the existing one costs 1, and then you've paid 4 in total.
Yeah, that's what I mean. So, like, we've only seen 1 Aurora card now.
Yeah.
So if that is the only Aurora card they're printing, it doesn't make sense to play it on top of that same Aurora card. To play Aurora,
to play
Dreaming
Aurora
Guardian,
on top of Aurora, there doesn't seem to be any the same Aurora. There doesn't seem to be any benefit to that. So it seems likely this is your speculation that there would be other Aurora cards.
I'm assuming that there are other Aurora cards, not the Dreaming Guardian,
that are less
different
powerful, that have less abilities,
or even a different ability. So that you might want to, there's a reason to do that.
Okay.
So that's one thing. The other thing that I think this could mean is that the little pips along the side of the card, the pips that are out, aren't the lore symbols we were talking about, aren't the lore symbols that are out is what you count. It's that those are actually something that you track.
Okay, so you've got lore from your previous Aurora, and then you get even more lore when you...
So you play 3 to gain...
Bloodborne character out on top of another one you shift.
So it's a bit weird. We've seen 2 different images for this card. One of them has 2 pips and one of them doesn't. I believe the one that has 2 pips is the one that is correct from a Ravensburger.
Yes.
So yeah, I've got 2 lore from my Aurora. Already played it. I need 2 more to win the game. Okay, this perhaps isn't the best use of Aurora, but I can just play this Aurora on top of itself and gain another 2 lore.
Interesting.
So that's...
But then why would you challenge characters if you don't then lose that lore? If you just accumulate it?
Well, maybe there's another way of getting lore as well. Maybe you tap them or turn them sideways to gain even more lore.
Okay, yeah. That's very Keyforge-esque.
Yeah, but Keyforge also had the thing where some cards came out with Amber. In Keyforge, the resource was called Amber. And so
you'd either get Amber when you played some characters, some cards, or you would turn them sideways, which means tapping them.
Yeah.
So they wouldn't be able to defend or attack, but instead they would be going to get this stuff for you, Amber.
Yeah. And for most creatures, both, or for a lot of creatures, both.
Yeah.
That's one way of looking at it. Anyway, the other ability, I think that Aurora is going to be a pretty good card because
that's quite powerful, isn't it? You can't do anything to your other cards.
Yeah, can't target or can't choose other cards, and other cards that do that in games like Magic the Gathering that's a really powerful effect.
Yeah, and she costs 5, which is relatively in the middle of pricing. She's not an expensive character compared to like.
Yeah, and
Mickey
it's not,
Mouse
and this isn't that your other characters that you've got out gain that ability.
Yeah.
So, I've played something that costs 1, and I've played something that costs 3, and now I'm putting out something that costs 5, and the other 2 have ward. If I then play something that costs 8 or 9,
that has ward as
well. That has ward as well. So, yeah, a way of setting up kind of mid-game, you've played your smaller things, and then mid-game you're still thinking about setting up for your big splashy thing. Maybe you want to give him ward.
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe you don't want Dragonfire. Maybe you don't want your opponent to Dragonfire it.
Yeah. So this is protection against Dragonfire, for example. That's good example, yeah.
Seems like a good card. I'm now definitely getting the Aurora and Simba deck.
Maybe Simba's terrible.
Yeah. Ability, meow. Yeah.
Sing Hakuna Matata.
Cough up a furball. Oh, can you imagine if they brought in that kind of... That's the one thing. Okay, there's not much right now that could get me out of the Lorcana hype. But...
Silly cards would.
Oh, yeah. Sing Hakuna Matata. You gain... Grow something good.
So it turns into a game of charades. Yeah.
Like, no thank you, no thank you. Right, what other hype train can I get on instead? Oh.
It has happened in other trading card games, hasn't it? This kind of thing.
Yes, and I love it when that happens.
You sound overjoyed. So, shall we now turn to some exciting news with someone that we're about to meet, Simeon?
Yeah, why not? Let's
Yeah.
do that.
Let's have a conversation.
Great. So we're here with Artem, who you've actually been to Nuremberg Toy Fair. How are you doing today?
Hey, doing good. It's a little bit late at my place, but yeah, doing great. Still hyped after, visiting the toy fair. It was really amazing event.
Oh, brilliant. And thanks so much for making the time for us. We won't keep you for too long because, it's late here and I've still got to edit this. But thanks so much for joining us. I just wanted to start by talking a little bit about your website, Lorcana. And for us, it's been a brilliant resource. If I need to check a card, that's now where I'm going. I'm not going to the official site. I'm going on there. So tell us a little bit about your vision for that.
Sure. So it started initially as a place, to see cards, to track collection, and eventually to build decks. We're still waiting for the rules, and then it will be there. But later, at the point where we had, those dark times of drought when like no news were revealed, I decided to support the people that actually in the community, the content creators. So I provided the tools and a little bit, of nice features for them to showcase what they're basically created. On the main page, I created an interactive list of index of content creators, and we have a lot of plans. And as I started to build site, more and more people join, and now quite a few people working on Lorcania. So we have Martin, aka Vipet, who's writing articles, and today he released, at least in my experience, one of the best articles how to to make proper collection, how to keep cards. So check it out. We have a very nice artist slash designer who's working on Call of Duty, who's helping us a little bit with small tidbits. We have a few cool engineers who's building a few non-announced thingies behind the scenes. We actually even have Jared, Citizens of Lorcana. He's mostly like providing us with a good memes, to keep positive mood when we're doing the things on the back end and saying what the hell, why it doesn't work. So over time, it's became a little bit more than just a place to track cards. Right now, this is something that keeps me moving forward and provide people in the community with the tools and with the place where they can find Lorcana related thingies. And actually, I'm trying to contribute as much as possible back to the community because they're good enough. Not what would be the word. They're kind enough to use Lorcania and provide me with the feedback, and I want to give them back something that is amazing, has good user experience, brings value, and doesn't require to go through pain when they need to find some information.
No, that's great. And on behalf of the whole community, I just want to say a massive thank you. Both you and Jared are so great at just bringing people together that this could be a really siloed experience of, oh no, I want Alsa's thing to be successful. Oh no, I want that to be and instead of that, both yourself and Jared are just great at reaching out to people and saying, great, brilliant, this is, here's some opportunities.
Yeah, it's my pleasure. I really enjoy doing that.
Yeah, good stuff.
You talked about how you want to support the community. I'm just curious, how can the community who are interested in Lorcana support you and Lorcania? What can we be doing to support you?
So beyond buying a suitcase and fill it with money and send it to me to buy boxes, you can go to Lorcania, you can read articles, you can register, create your own profile, send in feedback, say that, hey, this is complete bad thingy and you need to redo it, or hey, we have an idea, or hey, here's the bug, maybe you should fix it, or just saying hi and share it somewhere like, hey, we were looking for the cards and we found it on Lorcania, here's the link, something like that. So yeah, it would be actually even more nice than having a full suitcase of money.
Well, I'm not sure we can arrange the first thing, but the second thing, yeah. And I would really encourage it. If you guys if any of our listeners have feedback at all for Artem, I just contacted you on Twitter about, could you add some watermarks to cards that we weren't sure about yet? And within 24 hours, you'd done it. So, nobody works harder. Tell us a little bit about the Nuremberg Toy Fair. I don't want to rehash everything that you've already spoken to Liam about, because I saw that you'd uploaded an interview with Liam from Illumineers. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pop a link in the show notes that will take you through to your interview with the Illumineers as well, and that way we can cross-pollinate each other's content. That's great. But give us kind of like the highlights of the trip.
Yeah, so it was in Nuremberg. It's a very big convention, and usually the whole city knows about it because they rent the whole convention center, and it's huge. And there are, you can find everything related to kids, related to toys, related to adults that are small kids. So everything, the bus, the party clothes, the 3 wheels, bicycles, lollipops, puzzles, even small trains models that were in the very last pavilion I visited. Super cool and amazing convention, but unfortunately I had a very limited time because I was doing some business stuff, and of course I was visiting Lorcana, and I had a very nice opportunity to talk with Ryan and Shane for almost an hour, in total, because Thursday and Friday were jam-packed with B2B meetings and a lot of people, and Saturday was more or less relaxed. And that's very cool because on Sunday, Ryan had a plane back to the US. So in case I arrived one day later, I would miss him. That was very amazing experience. And one thing is that I always repeat, beyond that, the Ryan is super fun and amazing person, and he's very dedicated and passionate about what he's doing. The same I can say about Shane as well. But what struck me the most, that they really love Lorcana and then cannot wait to share this with their fans without answering every 9 out of 10 questions with, hey, the screen, or we cannot talk because of the NDA, because of the marketing, because of the sales, or because of the gun near our head. So I'm a little bit jealous for the folks that are going to the Gen Con in August, because they will be able to touch the real cards, not just the mocked boxes as I did, and they will have an opportunity, to talk with other people from the Lorcana team. And I think it would be an amazing experience, and play the game, challenge both Ryan and Steve. Maybe someone will get an achievement of winning a game in Lorcana against Steve. I think that's the very gist of it. It was a super cool experience, and I think that if I would have an opportunity to repeat this experience, I will definitely do that, disregarding that I was sleeping a few hours. It was a very long trip, but it was totally worth it.
Oh, amazing. That's great to hear. And you've come bearing gifts to the podcast. So you were able to take some photos of the packaging of the gift set?
So initially I made a very fast video of all the products that were publicly available outside of the booth. So they were available for everyone who's passing by. And I shared the video in my Twitter, and people immediately found out that, hey, there is the back side of the gift box and it's not empty. And I already decoded some of the information. But luckily for me, they were not able to decode everything because the video was a little bit, what is the word, smoothed, or blurry, a little bit blurry. And I had a few interesting tidbits of information from Ryan and from Shane, and also I made particular pictures of the back side of the gift box. So I decided, instead of grabbing a few likes on Twitter, it would be much more fun to spread the news between the content creators and have a little bit more fun. So for example, revealing the Hades number, it was super fun. By the way, there is a very funny thing that I would like to share tonight.
Yeah.
I was announcing, hey, I will reveal Hades number soon. Hey, I will reveal Hades number tomorrow. Hey, I revealed Hades number, it's number 5. Cool, but actually it was on Lorcana for more than 24 hours. And if someone arrived on the site and opens the Hades card, they will see the number 5 like
And it was
1.5 days ago. Yeah, it was already there all the time.
I love that people as well, when you did that, were saying, oh, does that mean that there are only alphabetically 4 other cards before H? And it's like, well, no, because Aurora is like card 100 and whatever. And it was like, oh, yeah.
I think it's between the colors, or well, we don't know yet, because it might be also between the colors. So far it looks like Amber goes first.
Yeah.
And Sapphire Blue, it goes like 5th or 6th, something like that. That's why Aurora starts on A, but 100 something.
Yeah. So I mean, we don't. I mean, and it could also be like separated by rarity as well. Within the colors, it could be.
Yeah. It might be as well. Yeah.
Oh,
we don't
brilliant.
know that, but it's very funny to speculate,
Well, I really enjoyed seeing this. So there's a couple of things that we want to reveal. We already talked about the actual card last episode of the podcast, but I'll pop the image onto our Twitter.
This is the Hades card.
This is the Hades card, yes. So the Hades says, underneath on the box art, it says, Hades, King of Olympus. What if Hades ruled the gods? This reimagined villain of the underworld puts the power of the celestial throne in your hands. Controlling and ambitious, he uses his subjects to get what he wants. Surround him with other villains and watch him gain a lot of lore fast. And what I really liked about that, and thanks so much for sharing that with us, is that
it's called lore as well.
It's called lore. The resource is called lore.
I was right.
You were right, yeah.
I hadn't even clocked that, yeah.
Yeah, the resource is called lore, but also this gives us a vision into the story of Lorcana, and that's something that I'm really excited about. It isn't just, oh, this is going to be a cool card game to collect, but there's going to be a storyline alongside all of these characters, isn't there?
Yeah, it looks like there would be a lot beyond just the game and just the character. There would be the story and maybe even an explanation where we get those, flute-born characters, or alternative version of the characters, or characters with different type of motivation or, point of view. So, and there were a few interviews where we didn't pay too much attention, but they literally said that, hey, Lorcana will have a story. So who knows? A lot of people looking for Lorcana, not because of the story, but because they would like to play TCG, to build the cool decks. Someone will be, because it's Disney, collect the very beautiful cards with amazing art on that. And some people will enjoy to know that there is not only amazing art, but also the story behind that. And like with every expansion following, like after the first chapter, there might be, a new twist coming to that. Maybe there would be like another version of the Hades that, I don't know, will rival the evil Hades, and it would be a hero Hades or something like that. We don't know.
No, I'm really
but that sounds really cool.
It does. It really does. There's one last piece that we've got to reveal. Sorry, David, you were going to say
I want. Before you're so excited to reveal this, I want to ask Artem something.
Okay, sorry. Do that.
It's a bit of a random question, but you've spent a lot of time with all the cards. So, of the cards so far, which one are you most excited to play when the game comes out?
A lot of people know the answer. It's Aladdin. And Aladdin goes in the deck with Cruella de Vil. But after Aurora was revealed as a card, I think that probably my first custom build deck that I will try to design myself, it would be Aladdin plus Aurora, because it sounds really fun.
You've got the deck planned as well.
Yeah, no, that's great. This is good to have a plan. Okay, the last thing we could reveal is the artist for the Hades card. And this isn't an artist we've seen before. It's an artist called Alex Accorsi. I'll put a link in the show notes again through to Alex's work. I was most excited that he's worked previously on Mario vs. Rabbids, the computer game,
for Nintendo Switch.
For Nintendo Switch, I've put too many hours into that game. Have you played that at all, Artem?
No, unfortunately not.
It's like a tactical game, and it's so frustrating. It's one of those ones where like a lot of a lot of the levels will take you like 4 or 5 plays through to get there, and you get so close and then fail at the last. Or at least I do. Maybe I'm not very good at it.
No, unfortunately, I play only on PC. The PC Master Race. But I'm getting older and older, and I have kids, so eventually we might grab something like Switch or PlayStation. I don't know.
Well, yeah, there's a great game that you can pick up for the kids. Actually, for you, yeah. That's great.
Big kid, yeah.
Brilliant. Well, thank you very much for sharing that with us. I don't want to keep you because I know it's an hour later where you are. So thank you very much for your time today. If people want to get hold of you, how can they get in touch with you?
Sure. So you can find my socials on lorcania.com in the footer, or you can go to Twitter and try to find NL. Or, of course, you can find me in Discords. I almost in all popular Discords, and just feel free to poke me.
Amazing. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
What a great guy. Well, thanks to Artem again for coming on the show. There's one thing, though.
And thanks for going to Nuremberg. That's dedication. I think it was like a 4.5-hour trip for him to get there.
I don't think he went just to then share that information with us.
I wasn't saying that, but I still want to give him the credit for going all that way.
Brilliant. Yes, massive credit. There's one thing about the Hades card, though, that we didn't talk about, but luckily I chatted about it earlier with the child.
Let's go.
Mum.
Are you done?
Yeah.
It's the child!
Yeah!
Hello, how are you doing today, child?
Good.
So we've been talking a lot recently with Artem off of Lorcana. He went to a toy fair in Germany.
Yeah.
And he found out some new flavor text on one of the cards.
Which one?
So he found out the flavor text for Hades, who is a baddie.
Okay.
So I thought it would be really fun to get you to say Hades' flavor text.
Yeah.
And then maybe say some other quotes of other villains.
Okay.
Because I think more villains should be cast as children.
Okay, but there's no villains that would be cast like of children.
What about Lil Gideon?
Maybe.
From Gravity Falls.
Maybe.
He's children.
Yes.
And there's lots of scary horror movies where children are the baddies. So here is the Hades flavor text as read by the child.
Oh, hey, I'm going to need some new business cards.
So I love how that sounds, a villain quote in a child's voice.
Yeah.
And I thought, who is the biggest villain? What's the most famous villainous quote? You know this from the Zootropolis or Zootopia, whatever, wherever it's called. It's Zootropolis in some countries, but it's Zootopia in other countries.
Yeah.
Anyway, so you know us from that movie, but this is from a very famous movie.
Yes.
Can you read this one out for me?
You come on my daughter's wedding day and ask me to murder for money.
Yeah, I think I'm more creeped out by you than I am by Marlon Brando. Okay, and the biggest baddie of recent years in the Disney world. I say Disney, I mean Marvel world.
Thanos.
Right, okay. Here's a Thanos quote for you.
The hardest choices require the strongest wills.
I thought you were going to do your little click then. Brilliant.
Oh my goodness.
Which villain would you replace with voiced by a child?
Can I just say all of them?
All of them? Every villain now voiced by a child.
Terrifying.
Yeah.
Scar
voiced by a kid. Yes, amazing. Great. Yeah, that would be a bad one. Right, okay. So if people want to get in touch with us, how might they do that?
They might tweet us at Lorcana Podcast.
Yep.
They might email us, lorcanapodcast@gmail.com.
Brilliant. We're also on TikTok, also just at Lorcana Podcast. If we'd love to hear from you, please do encourage us with all of your questions. If you want to hear a funny game at the end of these, I've run out of ideas, but you can send us a game for us to play or a little quiz for us to do, and we'd love to take
questions to talk about.
We
love questions. We love reviews. We love comments.
Yeah, chocolate cake. I really like chocolate cake. Anything you want to send us, just get in touch. Please do go and support lorcania.com. Go and check it out. Make an account. Start your collection on there. And yeah.
Goodbye.
Bye.